Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the GSD Show. I'm your host, Mike Garcia, and I've got an awesome stud here today. His name is Mr. Page, but his friends call him Nick. And he's with the training page. Nick, welcome to the GSD Show. First time guest.
Yes, super excited.
Have you watched the show before?
Yes, actually. Was watching it before I even joined Loud Rumor. It's where I discovered you guys.
Oh, cool. Well, I'm glad. Thanks for tuning in. And I got you on the show because I've known you now. You started working with us around like January, and it's now currently it's August just started, but your numbers as of July, you've grown, and the business is already doing well, but you've grown by 114% in that 5-month period, correct?
Yeah.
And that's your member count, but you've also increased revenue drastically. You've recently increased pricing, therefore your profit is also increasing drastically. And you've done some things really, really well, which I want to talk about. One of them is your ability to sell things at a higher price. Another one is, honestly, you're probably one of the top guys in execution, like to get shit done. This is the GSD show. Anybody wondering, that pillow right there, that's GSD. It stands for get shit done. And Nick, you live up to that motto. So we're going to talk about that. Also, you're young, Nick. How old are you?
24.
24 years old. So there's men and women I know that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s that are not doing the things that you're doing. So you're really picking things up at a young age. And I really want to dive into that too. But then your actual numbers. So where your member count was, where it's at now, revenue increase, what was it that you think made the biggest difference? Obviously there's, a ton of stuff that you can do to improve a business depending on what the bottleneck is for that individual company. But I want to know what the bottlenecks were for you, or the certain tipping points you're like, once I did this, we'll talk about that stuff too. Sounds good?
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. So really quick, just so everybody kind of has an idea as to your business, what is the trainer page? Where are you guys located? And how do you help people?
Yeah, so we are a fitness studio in Ronkonkoma, New York. So that's basically in the smack middle of Long Island. And, as a studio, our mission is to show the mental benefits of working out, which is a bit different. And so we basically have fitness classes that are called sweat therapy classes. That's kind of the 80% of the business. That's the bread and butter. And then we do offer one-on-one personal training as well as nutrition services.
Awesome. I love it, man. And so if I'm a member working with you, or I decide to sign up today, what's the package that I'm likely to sign up with you based on what people are typically signing up for today?
So the most common package is probably our middle membership package for the sweat therapy classes. So the way we operate it, it's 16 classes to use in a 4-week time frame, in a 4-week program. It's an auto renewal, but you'll get 16 sessions. And then for the first month, you do get to work with a nutritionist. And one thing that's really cool is we have a body scanner that we're one of the only fitness studios on Long Island with this one in particular. So we're able to actually show our clients exactly how their body's changing on a 3D image on a month-to-month basis.
That's pretty cool. What do you charge for that? What am I paying?
So that is at basically $200 a month. And then a step up is $239 or $240. And then the lowest package we have is $150.
Okay. So the lowest you got is $150. Right now you're at $200 a month. Sounds excellent. And what's the model? I know you have personal training. Is there a group? How large is the group? What's that look like?
Yeah, so the sweat therapy classes, the way it works is we have 43 class times per week. There's around 6 to 8 classes per day, depending on the day. And it's 12 people per class, 12 to 16. As we grow, we will be bumping it up to 16.
Okay.
And that's 7 days a week.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, and what's your staff look like right now? What's the org chart look like?
So right now, we just recently brought on 2 front desk associates, and then we have 5 trainers. We have a nutritionist and a fitness consultant who's basically our sales guy.
Perfect. So no studio manager yet. Is that your title right now?
That is basically my title right now, yes.
Perfect. And what's the plan for that?
So right now, based on my numbers and our current, rate of growth, I'm expecting to have an official studio manager and a potential fitness director in a more of a leadership role by the new year, where then I can officially, quote, retire and actually own the business and not have to be in there operating, selling, and, working, doing what I have to do, basically.
I love it. I love it. So January, how long were you in business when January came around?
So it's a kind of a broad question because I can say I started the business in March of 2018, but it was just me and I was a personal trainer. But I always viewed it as a business. But realistically, what I do like to say is with our current location, we moved in there February of 2020. And once we reopened, when gyms in New York were allowed to reopen, I kind of like to say that was the real start of the classes, one-on-ones, and the whole thing. It kind of built up over a few years and then started
When
what
was
was it?
that?
October of 2020.
So October 2020 until January 2022. So that's what, like 14, 13 months. So that
Yes.
13-month time frame, you gathered 75 clients, and then in the next 5 months, you went up to what is that? 80. You got 86 on top. So you got 86 in 5 months, but the first 13 months you got 75. So what I want to know is what happened. Well, what was going wrong? Talk to me first about what do you
Absolutely.
think was holding you back? What were the bottlenecks that had you only gain? Because that's only like 5, 6 clients a month on average versus, now getting 86, you're averaging what, like 10, 12, 14 clients per month on average at a high price point. So what was the big change?
So through 2021, I would say it was a big building year, but also a big growing year for myself. Learning what I've recently learned, we had a bad attrition problem in 2021. So that we had a lot of new faces, but a lot of them weren't staying.
Why?
And there was many reasons. One of the reasons I learned was I was not focusing on my current client base. I was too obsessed with new members and people didn't feel valued. And we were constantly updating the classes, the workouts. So people that did cancel in the early stages would have a completely different experience now, but sometimes you got to catch them when they're there. So we missed that opportunity. And
You know what's funny about that, Nick, is that there's so many reasons that a business can't grow. And your reason for not growing is actually less common than probably a lot of the people listening. So most people in this industry, they focus so much on their members and that they don't have any eye on sales. They in fact they really kind of like shy away from like social media and posting stuff and drawing in leads and asking for referrals and all that stuff. They shy
yeah,
away from the sales process, but they love their members. They love over delivering all that stuff. So yours is actually more like my story, where I sign people up and it's not that I didn't care about them. It's just that I was so zoned in on sales and marketing that I was filling up the bucket as fast as the hole was letting more water out.
yep, that you nailed it on the coffin. That was really the initial problem I had. And I had no idea until someone at a higher level realized some things that I said, and it was a huge blind spot for me that it humbled me a lot, but that was definitely a massive hole in the bucket that was filled.
What was your attrition back then?
So to give you an idea, when I went back into my old system, I had in 2021 around 250 members through it in the gym, in the door, out the door. So
So you lost more than you kept.
absolutely. I would say, honestly, I mean, of course it varies a month, but it could have been up to 20, 25%, which like literally is like a stab in the heart hearing that right now. But I literally I didn't even know because I was so zoned in on one thing and it was a big issue.
So for everyone listening, the way to measure lifetime value is you first have to find out how long the average member stays with you, and then you just multiply that by the amount they pay you. And there's a formula for that. So if you take 1 and you divide it by your attrition percentage, so Nick's case, 1 divided by 25%, that means he's retaining members for an average of 4 months. That's what that is, right? And you were charging back then about how much?
So that much was our average ticket price was 143.
So 143. So that means your average member's worth $572 to you. That's your lifetime customer value. Now, to show you how important attrition and pricing plays a role, Nick, what's your attrition today? Or like, what's been your attrition over this year?
So I'm very transparent. The June and I should say May and June, we got it down to 7.5%, which I was extremely happy about. This past month, it did get back up to 12, which is still a little low on the industry average, but way better than what it was in the past. But that's still something that we are trying to perfect and really optimize.
Well, Nick, too, you gotta remember. So we don't have a consistent year throughout the year business, right? So you're talking July. So as you go through the third, fourth, fifth year, you're going to notice July to July to July to July, as opposed to July to June and May and August. And like you're going to start comparing the previous years as opposed to the other months in the same year. So it's normal to have higher attrition in some months than others. So the average, say, is about 7.5%. So here's what that means. That means you're retaining members instead of for 4 months, which is what a 25% attrition gets you. Your 7.5% attrition has you keeping members for an average of 13.5 months, so about over a year. And now, what's the average member pay today?
On average, the member pays 186.
186. So check out the difference. When you multiply that times 186, your average lifetime member or lifetime value for each member is $2,480 versus $575. So you're talking it's 5 times better, which means you can spend a lot more money to acquire a customer. Your profit's significantly better. You're going to continue to compound growth. And at some point, because your rent and software and a lot of expenses don't continue to scale with the revenue, the profit continues to grow. So this is such a powerful number. I'm so glad you know these numbers, and they're going to continue to improve. But how does it feel knowing that when you sign someone up now as a sales guy, it's not worth 500 and change to you, it's worth 2,500 and change?
It feels really good, especially when, from what I learned, if you can retain a customer for at least 90 days. When I see those members happy, coming consistently, it gives me a good feeling.
Yeah, awesome. So for everyone listening, I hope you did the math. Just figure out how many members you're losing on a monthly basis. That's your compared to how many you started the month with. That's your attrition percentage. 1 divided by that number tells you how many months they stay with you, and then multiply that result by your average monthly fee, and that'll tell you what a client's worth to you. Okay, so Nick, I know you said, okay, well, you think that the reason your attrition wasn't as great is because you weren't paying too much attention to the sales opportunities and not as much on the members that have already given you their money and said, yes, I'm with you. So what does that look like now? What are some of the changes you've made that's allowed you to improve the attrition by honestly 3-4 times the amount?
Are your leads slipping through the cracks? Does managing your software keep you up at night? Does customer support take days, weeks, or even months to get back to you? We get it. Fit Pro Tracker was developed by gym owners for gym owners. With Fit Pro Tracker, you can easily process payments, create and sell products, schedule your sessions, market your business, and communicate with your contacts, all in one fitness software. See why hundreds of gym owners are making the switch to Fit Pro Tracker today.
So the first thing I needed to do was I needed to find out why people canceled. So it was a very humbling experience. And I actually pulled up the list of all the people that canceled, and I started calling.
Okay.
People were very shocked when they heard my voice on the phone and that I was calling them, asking them, I'm not trying to actually come back. I really want to know why you canceled. And doing that and overcoming that fear and almost embarrassment from losing someone's business because of poor value really opened a huge opportunity for me to see little blind spots that I would have never saw. And at that time as well, there was definitely some staffing issues, some leadership issues on my end that I take full ownership of. But learning even the smallest details of the studio and how staffing is and what we're doing, there was many things, honestly, that we had to adjust and change. But to answer your question, the number one thing I think is just over delivering and keeping your word. Because as salesmen, sometimes you can overhype a program or you can overhype something. And if you're under delivering, that is the worst thing you can do. And so I actually decided to take the role myself and become that missing key to the missing piece of the puzzle to help these new members coming in the door, talking to them, finding about their goals, finding their why, following up with them, and then showing my team how it's done and trying to figure out what way optimizes best. So then I can then soon replace that role with a key component or with a few key components on my team members. So the attrition can consistently improve.
I love it, man. And so attrition is one way to increase lifetime value. The other one is how much money they give you every month, right? Because you multiply those two together. So you also raised your pricing recently by a decent amount. Your average value is now at $40.
So I kept hearing about people increasing prices. And one thing I will say we didn't do is we didn't change everyone prices. So most people are grandfathered in, but I will say our pricing was not extremely low. For the most part, when I say, there are members paying $167, there are $199 and unlimited, but I wanted to increase price in a positive way. And basically I bumped every membership up by the $30 or $40. So our most popular package, instead of it being $167 or even $129, because those were the two that would most be sold, now it's a minimum at $149. But utilizing certain sale tactics, I'm able to sell that $199 in the beginning. And when people do pay more, they will commit harder. And one thing we do say is we are more expensive than all of our competitors. And I'm proud to say that because we're pricing is value. And when we tell customers that, they respect it.
I love that. Question, you said you had a package that was 167 and one that was 129?
Yes.
Why did you have a 7 and a 9?
It's a great question. The 129, it was always $129.99. So that was for 8 sessions. And then the step up was 167. The 167, honestly, is because if you can get 500 members paying you at 167, that's going to generate around $85,000 per month, which
Why
you have.
why not 169, which would be more than that?
It just, one day I chose it.
So here's why I dive in on that. There's so many people that charge like 67 and 65 or just sevens and ends in sevens, ends in fives, ends in zeros. And for some reason, I don't know where, but they're convinced that it's more attractive to the prospect or it's less sales looking like, or whatever it is. But there's no real data that I've ever seen on that. And I study pricing psychology. I really enjoy that part of the business.
I agree.
And there's overwhelming amount of data that anything that ends in a 9 wins all the time. And there's almost no real, like actual concrete data with a good study that was done that beats anything with a 9. But for some reason you see it from these, some people doing 6s and 7s or 9s
like
or whatever.
$9.97 a month. You know what I mean? Like
there's a reason there's not a 97-cent store.
Yeah, no, 100%. It just, I think I had 167 from day one and I just never changed it until now. So that's out of the picture. So
I love it. I love it, man. Okay. So now you sell at 199. Is there a setup fee?
So we incentivize people to take action the day of, where we do waive that $99 activation fee. If people don't sign up the day of, they will be charged that. But for the most part, with our process, I would say 95% of people are signing up the first day.
Okay. And how was the closing percentage changed when you went from a lower price to a higher price? Did it change at all?
So knowing my numbers, from June, we finished at a 68% closing rate from scheduled leads in. People coming into the facility. And then come July, we were at 66%. So literally a 1% difference, which is nothing.
And it's a rounding error at that point. It could have been
literally. No, exactly.
Yeah, it could have been just like one member. If it was this prospect instead of this prospect, it would have been
done the difference. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, isn't it amazing how you had room to close about 30 to 40% worse and still be able to keep the same profit because you charge higher, right, with less expenses. but you saw virtually no change in the closing percentage, which is the number one reason people are afraid to raise their pricing, because they think no one will buy.
Absolutely. And to add to what you just said, one thing that happened in July was we didn't hit our goal number. And I was actually very upset. I was like, this isn't a good month. I'm very negative. And then the last day in July, or August 1st, it was a Monday night. I was like, I'm staying here and I'm going through my numbers just to realize we actually still grew our monthly EFT and had a higher month revenue. So it made me feel good. And I was able to text my team like, we're actually doing really good. Like, I didn't mean to be so negative, or, like pushing, like, that's okay. We'll pick it up next month. So it definitely, it makes a much bigger difference than you realize. And if you do lose a member who's paying less, it actually, the difference is,
well, the main target should be revenue and profit, right? Like, these are the numbers we're looking to move. And then everything underneath that are just KPIs that we know if we pull this lever, pull that lever, that should improve the likelihood of us getting to these numbers. So for example, if I get 30 members versus 20, that should help top line, right?
Yes.
If I were to retain people at 6% attrition versus 9% attrition, that should improve top and bottom line. If I were to sell more people in the top tier package, that should improve top and bottom line. So these are all things that help. But at the end of the day, what we care about is more than anything, the bottom line. We care about how much profit are we making.
Yes.
Because we talk about at a GSD Con Money a few months back, revenues for vanity, profits for sanity, and cash is king. There's a lot of 7-figure gyms that are broke, right? But I would rather have a gym that's doing $500,000 a year that's giving me $120,000 in profit versus a gym that's doing $1 million a year and giving me $40,000-$50,000 in profit, right? At the end of the day, that's what counts.
Absolutely.
So when you're charging more and you're closing on the same percentage, I know you didn't hit probably your member count number is what you meant, right?
I was just going to say that. Exactly.
Because I want my team, great example for Loud Rumor. We actually didn't hit one of the KPIs as well, but at the end of the day, we sold better programs, better numbers. The packages were higher. We increased our value per client. So at the end of the day, this is significantly better to continue compounding versus anything else.
Absolutely.
So if you're getting more people to sell supplements or ancillary sales or anything like that, like just your dollar per member is going up, that's fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. No, I agree. And that's something in 2021, prior to Loud Rumor, I only cared about members. I didn't care about how much they were paying. It was this amount of members per month. And I still get in my head about it. Like, I still focus on the number, but I'm very getting disciplined in focusing. No. What's the new revenue added this month minus the attrition? What do we net? And that's the reality. Client numbers is client numbers, but the money's the money. So
exactly. And two real great numbers that give you an indication as to where you should be heading and where you can start investing is your lifetime customer value and your customer acquisition cost. Are we increasing the value of like you've increased by 5 times, right? The value that a customer has to our company. And also, am I finding a way to pay less each month for the customers that I'm acquiring? So, even I've got clients that are spending $40, $50 a lead on Facebook and Instagram because where their business is and just the offer that they're willing to have. But their customer acquisition cost is amongst the lowest because they're fantastic at executing on the 3 to 5 referrals per sale page. And so you're getting free leads every time you sign up a member. Every time you sign up one of those that costs you $0, it just keeps chopping down the acquisition cost. And as this gap is growing, you're crushing.
Yeah, 100%. I think the cost per lead is something I think a lot of people focus too much on. And there's so many opportunities to get free leads. And it's a huge part of the business that I think a lot of people are blindsided to.
What are 1 or 2 of the things that you think you and your team have executed on better than anything else, that if you didn't execute that hard on that one thing or 2 things, it'd be a very different story for you today?
So I definitely think one of the biggest things is how well we create a new customer experience. We want people to have an excitement about our facility before we even walk through the door. And one thing a lot of people don't know is we are actually in a basement of a building. So we're not a storefront. I still don't have a sign on the building. I actually just talked to my landlord today about it. All we have is a red A sign leading to a kind of a creepy outdoor basement stairwell that leads to our facility. So that can be viewed as a negative. And I totally think, you know, I have things that I'm working on to improve it. But through the initial conversation and really building a connection on the phone, on top of having a great social media presence, and then almost providing a lot of value prior to them coming in, to when the second they step in the door, they're getting greeted by our staffs with a smile. They have a welcome sign with their name on it, and the facility inside looks really cool. I say that is one thing we executed on, and that definitely makes a huge difference prior to then people walking into a facility and walking up to a front desk and the person goes, "What are you here for?" It's like not like that, because a person can make a decision like this.
You
So I
know,
think that's one thing.
have you watched Rocky 4?
Yes, but I mixed up the Rocky movie, so I'm not 100%.
With the Russian.
Oh, yes. Okay, I have, yes.
So if you remember the scene, Rocky should have never really beaten the Russian. The Russian was like all juiced out
Yeah.
scientists. They have him going through all these machines before with like masks and hoses. He had this amazing facility to train in, and Rocky was in a cabin, like doing sit-ups off a log.
Exactly.
Okay. And so when you look at it, it's like, there's no way, right? This is such a better facility, such a better thing.
Yeah.
Rocky, right? You didn't have this beautiful studio that you see some of these big franchises come in. And honestly, there's one franchise that I particularly am thinking of. They're a large franchise, and their studios don't average like 30, 40,000 a month. Like they're like, the average is below that.
Yeah.
And they have amazing facilities. I mean, just beautiful.
Yeah.
And you have this disadvantage, but because you work on the right things and you just keep doing those things, you are doing 50,000 a month, which, you know, these guys would love to have it at that level. But that just goes to show, you know, if you do enough of the right things right, people don't care about that stuff as much. When they care about it is when you don't do anything else. And then after that, they kind of see through it. It's not really working. So I really, really respect that. Billy Jones, we've had on the show as well. You two would be best friends.
I literally just texted him today. We're gonna talk Monday or Tuesday, and then I'm assuming he's gonna be at GSD Con, so we'll really connect there.
He will. He's got the same disadvantage in regards to facility, but I mean, this is so many of the right things right that he's destroying people in his neighborhood that have 20 times more expensive facilities. And all this debt with the facility, he's just crushing them. So I definitely, for everyone watching, go back, watch the episode with Billy Jones as well. He's fantastic. I think he was so I think, you know, doing his best to like figure, okay, what should I charge based on what I've got? He was charging like $30 a month is what he was charging. Now I think his average is like, I think his average is like between $300 to $500 per member per month right now.
Yeah,
and
that's
a facility. And he went from like 20K to like 70, 80K per month.
Yeah.
So I just love hearing stories from guys like you that just go, you know what, cool. Hey, it is what it is. It's a disadvantage, but not my disadvantage, you know?
No, 100%. And I always view it as, and actually it all extends back to my story, but I said, if I can make it work in this situation, when it's better, I can just capitalize on it. So that's why I always view it.
100%, man. When you move into another facility, you're going to treat that so much more with so much more respect than a person that's their first studio, you know?
Yeah.
All right, last thing, man, because then we got to wrap up. You're 24 years old. 24.
Yep.
So I don't remember being 24 because I just turned 42 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. I don't remember being 24. I mean, I can't remember what I was doing at that age versus 22, 25, 23. All I remember was I was not doing what you're doing. So, but what are some of the things that inspired you? What drives you? to be like, how do you get and stay motivated?
So there's kind of two factors to that, and to not go into a lot of depth for it. But one thing I think was more of a financial security thing. I grew up in a middle, an regular income. My parents are great. My dad worked on Wall Street, for Merrill Lynch, and 2008 was a really hard hit for him in a recession. And I'll never forget, I was in 7th grade he was driving me to my friend's house, and he told me, Nick, I lost my job, and the next year and a half's not going to be pretty. And that Christmas, my parents did a really awesome job, but I got a loofah as a gift, and they made it funny. Like, I thought it was awesome, but that definitely made a huge shift in my head that said, I never want to have any stress from a financial standpoint.
Mhm.
So that wired my brain a lot differently. Then years later, first year of college, I went away to the University of Tampa on a scholarship for lacrosse, was on the top of the world for 2 months. And this whole scenario happened that completely disrupted my mental health. And I was already a trainer senior year of high school, so I knew what to do in the gym, but I never worked out for myself. I worked out for athletics. And because of this situation, I ended up gaining 50 pounds, becoming very depressed, developing really bad anxiety, panic attacks every day. And I was only 17, 18. And I masked that by going out, partying, drugs. And luckily I had a friend who was basically like a trainer to me, my gym buddy. We'd go, let's work out, like iron therapy. And that, I realized the mental benefit of working out. And to make a long story short, after coming home, getting kicked out, going to another college, working construction, personal training again, I decided I know how to train. I'm decent at it, but I really want to show people the mental benefits of it. Because if you don't know how to work out, how can you achieve that mental benefit from it? And I decided to just go all in on it. And it snowballed into this amazing obsession of business. And the day I opened my gym, fitness became number 2 and business is number 1. And I'm like, I can talk about it for hours, and it's something that constantly just drives me.
I love that you said that too. I wish everyone knew that when you open a gym, you're a business owner now. You're no longer a fitness professional. You aren't. Even though you have the skills of a fitness professional, you are now a business owner that offers the services of fitness. That's what you do. And so I love that's your mindset. I see you constantly really learning at GSD Con. You're on the power calls. You're going through the portal. You are an amazing example of what can be done. And, I hope people in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s realize, like, man, like this can be picked up, like, because I think a lot of people think, well, it takes time, it takes experience. Well, you're showing right now that experience doesn't necessarily always take time. There's a famous quote, I can't remember the amount of years, I'm going to botch it up, but the concepts could be there, which is, do you really have 15 years of experience, or do you have 1 year of experience you've done 15 times? And that's very different. Those are two very different things.
Yeah.
And I think as long as you can continue to learn and improve your skill sets in the areas that you're responsible for being great at, every year you should be annoyed with the idea of having a conversation with your last year self, because it wouldn't be entertaining for you. You'd be so far behind in the old version. And so every year you should be almost like a new person in regards to the way you think and the way you behave and the decisions that you make. Not the same guy.
Absolutely. Yes, I 100% agree.
Awesome. Nick, man, I truly respect you. I was excited to have you on the show, and you're speaking at GSD Con. Now, for everyone that's watching or listening to this episode, you're listening. It's already happened. So Nick's already spoken. So I'm assuming you did great.
I'm hoping. I'm a little nervous, but I'm practicing, so I'm hoping it went well.
Yeah. So for everyone listening, watching, we started this new segment at GSD Con where we have about 4 or 5 people that are just doing really well recently, and they're like 10-minute talks called One Major Move. And Nick's going to be presenting on One Major Move, as well as 4 other people that have increased lead flow by 100 leads per week, that have increased referrals by 100 referrals per month, that have almost tripled or quadrupled the revenue in a few months. So there's some incredible things happening. If you're going, great. I'm excited that you probably already got that info by the time you watch this. But keep in mind, with GSD cons every quarter, they're all themed differently. You were at the money one. Did you go to the people and leadership before that?
So it's only been a couple of months, but I actually learned from you guys in April through your YouTube for free. I applied referrals and getting the card on file. We had our best month in April, and I literally signed up going, I don't care how much it is, just let's get going. And it's been the best thing since. So I appreciate everything. I appreciate all the words, and even giving me an opportunity to be here and even speak, because those are things I manifest and visualize every night, speaking on a stage and being in interviews. And it's an awesome thing. I really appreciate it, Mike.
It's testament to your hard work, dude. So I appreciate you taking action on the free stuff and on the paid stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing you up on stage and doing your thing. So for everyone watching, for everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you in the next episode.